From the beautiful Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, this is the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. We take questions from anyone in the dental profession and discuss what it takes to win not only in dentistry, but in life. Business, leadership, relationships, parenting, health and wellness, money management, nothing is off limits on the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. I'm Jason Tenori, your host, and have over 20 years of experience to pull from. Learn from my mistakes and let me help you collapse time so you can become the best version of yourself. Yo, Dr. Jason here, Dental Lighthouse Podcast, and we're on the road. I'm actually in the truck heading to a breakfast with a possible doc that's going to join our practice. Doc actually flew up from Florida. We met last night for dinner. Young kid, seems like he's got his head on straight. We're going to tour a couple offices today and make sure that we both feel it's a good fit. My biggest concern, to be honest with you, is uprooting someone from Florida to come to upstate New York. So yesterday he came over to the house and had dinner, and my wife and my oldest son's primary job was to talk him out of coming to upstate New York based on the weather. Because the last thing I want for anyone is to uproot their life and then 6 months in, they're like, wow, I had no idea that it was going to be like this, right? So, anyways, that was the reason that I'm on this recording wasn't to talk about that, but I was just sharing with you where I'm heading. That was the first thing. The second thing is, and we say this all the time in the mastermind and when I'm doing one-on-one calls, don't wait for perfection to have one-on-ones, to have into the store meetings, to have uncomfortable conversations, to have accountability conversations. You know, so many of the developing leaders that I work with feel like it's got to be perfect, like it's got to be in person, the lighting has to be just right, what music is on, like the ambiance has to be perfect in order to have a productive one-on-one. And nothing could be further from the truth. In a perfect world, all one-on-ones are in person, but if life gets in the way and the business starts to get crazy and you have to do it via phone or via Zoom, then do it via phone or via Zoom. Doing it that way is better than kicking the can and just lying to yourself about, like, I couldn't do it because the conditions weren't perfect. So stop doing that. And the reason I'm even bringing that up is because, you know, from a podcast recording perspective, it's not ideal to be in the truck with my microphones and all the other crap that we do for Ideal Podcast to be at home in my home office. But here we are, right? So will this podcast recording be perfect from an audio quality perspective? No. But I feel like I have a message that I need to share with you guys, and I'd rather have it be done than perfect, right? So what I really want to talk to you guys about today is what I'll call the three questions that you need to be asking yourself before you let someone go. And you need to be able to answer these questions with tons of honesty and sincerity. You yourself need to be answering these questions. The reason this came up is we let a doctor go on Friday, and it sucks to let anyone go, especially a doctor, because they're hard to find and you pour a lot into them from an onboarding perspective. And, you know, when you let someone go, you have to answer lots of questions from patients is, you know, where's Dr. So-and-so? So you have to really make sure that you can honestly answer these three questions before you let anyone go. Those of you guys that have worked with me know that one of my pet peeves is what we call blindsiding someone when they're terminated, when we're going to free up their future, when we're going to let them go. And nothing could be worse from a leadership perspective than blindsiding someone. So if someone's going to get let go, I want to walk into the room and then basically look at me and say, today's my last day, isn't it? And that should be the goal in all of our termination processes, right? We should never, ever, ever blindside someone. And we should never dress up blindsiding someone as convincing yourself that you hold people accountable, right? Once you've blindsided someone, you can't tell yourself, well, I'm just maintaining accountability. That's not true. So stop lying to yourself. So I'm not going to get into the weeds on how we prevent blindsiding someone, right? The into the storm conversations, the weekly one-on-ones, rarely, but sometimes I use PIPs, performance improvement plans. So that's a whole nother podcast. So I'm not going to get into the weeds on that. But what I really want to do in this short recording is basically make sure that we're all on the same page with these three questions, right? So the first question is, assuming they are a good core value fit, is there another seat on the bus? So when would you have to ask yourself this question? Primarily if, like the question says, if the person is actually really good, right? They're a good character fit, they're a good core value fit, they're just struggling at the roles and responsibilities of the seat that you've put them in. And this happens more than you would think. So if you're a smaller organization, it can be hard to find another seat on the bus, right? There's not a whole lot of other seats. You might only have 6 or 7 positions in your practice. As you get a little bit bigger, one of the advantages is you can move the chess players around on the board a little bit more. So ask yourself, okay, this is a good person, but he or she has basically shown that they don't have a level of competency that is going to allow them to flourish at the seat they're in. Is there anywhere else in this organization that we could give them a chance? And I've shared this situation before, and I'll share it again here, is we hired a guy named Nate. And if Nate listens to the podcast, I'm sorry that I'm embarrassing you. He's still with us. He's been with us for 5-6 years now. But he was hired as what we'll call a patient advocate or a greeting coordinator. Very, very entry-level position. Basically a Susie Sunshine that has to, smile big and enter patients' information and, when they walk in the office. And as qualified as Nate was for this position, he was struggling with it, right? We talk about the people analyzer and we talk about GWC, get it, want to have the capacity to do it. He was struggling with those. So, the default is, Nate, you're a good guy, but you're not flourishing at this position. We've had conversations and what have you, and we're going to have to most likely let you go. But when you ask yourself the question, is there another seat on the bus? Leadership really thought about this because he is a good person, and we ended up finding another position for him that was more behind the scenes, that wasn't patient facing, and that truly leveraged his skill set from a objective data, numbers, kind of almost like an accounting savant perspective. And now he's in that particular seat and he's flourishing. He's doing extremely well. He's very, very valuable to the organization. And we would have never realized that if we didn't ask the question, assuming this person's a good core value fit, is there another seat on the bus? So you have to be able to honestly answer that first question. The second question is, have I done everything possible to pour into this person and help them be successful? And this is the tough one to answer, right? And again, you need to answer these questions as honestly as you possibly can. Whereas, how was the onboarding? How was the training? How have I done with managing expectations? Have I been crystal clear about what I expect of this person, both from a behavior perspective, right, and a systems or roles and responsibilities perspective? And these are difficult conversations to have with yourself, because you could easily fool yourself like, oh yeah, I've definitely poured into this person. Well, have you? Right? So when we say poured into this person, do they have an onboarding document or a guidebook, like we call it in our organization? Have I met with this person daily for the first 2 weeks and then weekly after that during the onboarding process? Have I been crystal clear with examples of how there might be a behavior gap, i.e. they're not following the core values, or a systems gap, right? And we've talked about the questions that you need to ask yourself in terms of accountability and systems. Then and only then do you have the permission to let someone go. There is nothing worse. And again, I've experienced this. Ask me, how I know that there's nothing worse. There is nothing worse than someone thinking they're doing a good job or thinking they're doing an adequate job. And then Friday afternoon rolls around and you or HR or the office manager roll in there and say, okay, today's your last day. And they're blindsided. So you have to be over the top in terms of making sure that you can answer the question of, have I done everything in my power to set this person up for success to the point where they're not going to work and it's not on me. And then the third question is, if given the opportunity again, knowing everything that I know now, would I hire this person again? And again, be super honest with yourself, right? More often than not, if you can honestly answer the first two questions, then the third question becomes a no-brainer. And more often than not, the answer is no. So those are the three questions. Let's go back. Number one, assuming this person is a good core value fit, or if this person is a good core value fit, and they're not succeeding in their current seat, or they're not succeeding wearing the hat that we have them wearing, is there another seat on the bus? Is there another hat I can have them wear? And if you're a slightly larger organization, or if you have a couple different openings, there might be. If you're a smaller organization, then there may not be. And you can honestly have that conversation with someone. And you can say, Mary, I love you as a person, and you are a beacon of light in terms of following our core values. You're just not being successful at the one opening that we have. And for that reason, I don't think it's going to work out. But, I want you to know it's simply not because of who you are as a person. We're just realizing that your skill set does not line up with what we need out of this position. Like, that's just honesty, right? Second question, have you done everything possible to pour into this person in an effort to make them be successful? It's not a hard question. It's a simple question to answer. It's just not an easy question to answer, right? Do you have all the tools in place? Have you given them all the training? Have you had the accountability conversations? I had a situation maybe 10 years ago where we had a doctor, and everybody knew that they were not going to be successful. And after like a week, I knew that they were not going to be successful. This is when I was hiring and making all the decisions myself. And I had this blind spot that I could change behavior routinely, that I could coach up anybody. Anyways, after a week or so, I realized that this person wasn't probably going to be a right fit. So in an effort to answer number two, I took a step back and I did everything possible. And that's where I kind of developed all my systems about onboarding and guidebooks and blah, blah, blah. And I worked with this young lady for about 6 weeks. And after 6 weeks, I was like, wow, I have done everything possible. She's just not getting it. It was more of a GWC, get it perspective, because she was a decent core value fit. Anyways, that's where it all comes from. And then the third question, if given the opportunity again, knowing everything that I know now, would I hire this person again? If you can answer those three questions honestly before you let someone go, then that will tell you, is it the right time to let someone go, or am I blindsiding them? So, all right, guys, heading to breakfast, like I said, to re-interview or continue my interview with this really cool doc from Florida. And just wanted to get this message out because I've been thinking about it a lot, because Friday we let this doctor go. We let this doctor go from our organization. So if you want to get in touch with me, if you want to be on the podcast, if you want to talk about coaching, all my contact information is on our website, thedentallighthouse.com. If the content that I'm sharing with you guys is bringing any value, if it's collapsing time for you, I would love if you go to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. The more reviews I have that are positive, the more positive reviews we have, the more that the show gets in front of other people. And that's ultimately my goal. I'm not making any money on this show. I don't have commercials or anything like that. I'm just trying to get in front of as many people as possible so I can help full time for them. I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've made every single mistake along the way. And if I can get you to the point where I'm at in half the time, that'd be a big deal for me. And it'll be a big deal for you. So, all right, love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. That wraps up another episode of the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. You have a choice today. Choose to be a lighthouse. Lighthouses are powerful and steadfast. They are beacons of light for others to reference when life gets turbulent. Go out into the world today and become a lighthouse for someone. Give more than you get. True joy comes from serving others. Start today. I'm Jason Tenori, your host. Thank you for listening to the Dental Lighthouse Podcast. For more information, podcast show notes, or links to anything that we have discussed today, please check out our website, thedentallighthouse.com. We would love to hear from you. If you would like to get on the show, please email us at podcast@thedentallighthouse.com.